Is the mafia just an organization of criminals with collective power? And have movies and TV molded them as heroes? For instance, why do most gangster films make some people root for the mob? Hollywood creates movies and TV shows that shape the popular image of the mafia. Movies like The Godfather and Goodfellas became so iconic that many people lose sight that they are loosely based on real events. These movies and shows emphasize honor, loyalty, power, and luxury. Meanwhile, in real life, the mob equates to violence, intimidation, and exploitation, things that are often glossed over. The media, specifically movies and TV, glamorize that lifestyle with stylish clothes, sharp suits, luxury cars, and lavish homes. Movies also romanticize codes of honor, a brotherhood, and the cleverness where mobsters outsmart their enemies, such as law enforcement. To no surprise, Hollywood typically uses former members or associates as consultants for accuracy, which really does no good, because the mafia commits acts of violence, such as murders, which is sometimes depicted in movies and TV, yet certain storylines create justification for their actions. The adverse effect of glorification is it inspires fascination among audiences. Young viewers in particular begin idolizing the mobster lifestyle, but at the same time, ignore the moral and legal consequences. Most of the public can't seem to understand the severity of the crimes being depicted. Therefore, Hollywood should depict more of the consequences, like law enforcement's part, the court system, trials, etc. And more importantly, give the victims' families a voice. Make them consultants as well. In Goodfellas, a famous line by Henry Hill was as follows: "As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster." That quote in itself reflects how the movie romanticizes the allure of being part of the mafia, as if the mafia is just another business. Nonetheless, look how Henry Hill's life turned out. How about Jimmy Burke? Not only did he go to prison, in part due to Henry Hill's testimony, which helped convict him, but the Burke family suffered. Jimmy's son Frankie was killed in the street, and Jimmy ultimately died of cancer while in prison. They don't speak about these realities in the movie. While movies and TV paint the romanticized version of the mafia life, the true nature of being involved in organized crime is far more violent, dangerous, with serious consequences. In the movie The Godfather, it's based on a tight-knit family where loyalty is held in the highest regard. The idea that family comes first is its central theme. The Corleones are portrayed as a family that protects each other above all else. And Michael Corleone is someone who reluctantly enters the family's business and is motivated by his sense of loyalty, and over and above that, honoring his father. In reality, the mafia's loyalty is not about protecting one's family or loved ones. It's about survival. Mobsters are loyal to power and money, not the concept of family. In fact, betrayal is a constant part of that life. We've even seen mob bosses betray their own families. Certain families turn against its members. And something that's even more common are members turning on their families to save their own skins from indictments and convictions. Many members, specifically higher-ranking members, end up in prison due to this internal betrayal. Besides mafia families, personal families are often destroyed. Many mafia wives and children watch their loved ones get carted off to prison or live in constant fear that they could be killed at any time. In many cases, children of mafia members inherit criminal behavior and are influenced as part of their upbringing to emulate their fathers. An example of this was the recent arrest of Joe Perna's sons. So ask yourself, what kind of man of honor is he? I'll answer that. He's the furthest thing because he encouraged this behavior. Mafia movies often show immense wealth enjoyed by mobsters. Don Corleone lived in a house on a sprawling estate, overseeing his criminal empire while living a life of comfort. But the truth is, while mafia bosses might appear wealthy, the cost of wealth is extremely high. Many wealthy mobsters eventually lose everything. For instance, look at Lucchese boss Vic Amuso. His house in Howard Beach was an extremely large one, and at one time, it even had a batting cage for his son. Vic had luxury cars, etc. But what good were those materialistic things to him after he received a life sentence? He hasn't seen his house since the early 90s. I remember we all had to chip in one year to replace the front doors of his house. And I privately thought to myself, it's not like he's going to ever walk through them. The TV series The Sopranos actually shows viewers both sides of this equation. The Soprano members are often shown as heroic figures navigating through a complex life, and despite committing crimes, many violent in nature, the characters are created with a sense of honor, loyalty, and control. The Sopranos is actually an excellent example because it both glorifies and critiques the mafia lifestyle. Tony Soprano, the main character, is a mob boss who also deals with family issues, mental health, and the crisis in his crime family. He's not depicted as the perfect gangster, but conversely, a deeply flawed person trying to balance both the crime family infected by betrayals and his personal, dysfunctional family. One of the positive takeaways of the show is how it emphasizes how unpredictable and dangerous life in the mafia can be. In addition, it shows how relationships are damaged, not just between the Soprano members, but their personal families too. From what I've seen, the series doesn't glorify Tony Soprano, but forces viewers to empathize with him, partly because of his upbringing, which shaped who he became, making viewers question whether he's a product of his environment and circumstances. The portrayal of the mafia in movies and TV shows often blurs the lines between reality and myth. Real life is much harsher than what's ever shown on a screen. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. Filmmakers, going forward, could dive deeper into emotional and psychological effects of being involved in organized crime, rather than focusing on the cool elements or what certain viewers deem as cool, like power, wealth, respect, and honor, etc. Filmmakers could emphasize more on the human side of these characters, their struggles, insecurities, and of course, fears and worries. By doing this, it makes mafia movies and shows more grounded and relatable. Violent acts shouldn't be over-glamorized. Instead, they should concentrate on the consequences, both for the victim and the people committing these violent acts. But more important than anything is to prevent idolization by young viewers. These movies and shows need to make clear that life in the mafia only leads to suffering, loss, and inevitable downfall.